your weight division. A trilogy fight. It's 1-1 between the two of them. It's a good fight for both of them.
Yeah, I think so. And it's on a very big platform. It is an interesting fight. Who do you fancy on that one?
I think given what happened in the second fight, I would fancy Yarde. Your name and his name they're never too far away from each other, are they?
No.
And that won't change until you fight.
Yeah, so I'm hoping at some point, and hopefully this year, we can get on. The way things are looking, I'm hoping at some point this year.
Welcome to the Ring podcast. I'm Andy Clarke. I'm joined by Joshua Buatsi. Josh, there are so many interesting fights coming up, but particularly for UK fans and UK fighters, at the end of April, we have a fight that has been a long time in the making. There's been all sorts of drama around it for what seems like forever, to be honest. Yeah. Chris Eubank against Conor Benn at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Where do you stand on this one? Are you as intrigued by this as everybody else?
Yeah, I definitely am. And what's mad is the other day on YouTube, I watched Chris Sr.'s commentary on his first fight with Nigel Benn. And he spoke about a lot of things that we, the fans, wouldn't know. So it was good to hear him talk about how he was feeling and the whole build-up. He said everyone was booing for him. He spoke about in the first round, before the first round, his legs were shaking. I saw him take a knee a couple of times as well. So it was just a crazy insight to hear how he was feeling building up to that. But as a fighter, as a fan of boxing, I cannot wait to see that fight. Yeah.
But you mentioned it there, and the backstory it's absolutely epic, because that was one of the fights that just pulled me right down the boxing rabbit hole, Eubank. Yeah. I was obsessed with Eubank Sr.
Yeah.
I think understandably, he's just a very unique bloke.
I'm telling you, 100%.
It was a Sunday night, that fight.
No way.
It was a Sunday night.
Is it?
They were on air.
The first one or the second one?
The first one.
Wow.
ITV were on air for 1 hour. There was all sorts of tomfoolery with Eubank's walk-on music, so it started quite late. If it had gone the distance, I don't know what they would have done.
Yeah.
Gary Newbon interviewed Eubank in the ring before the final announcement had even been made, because they were running out of time.
Wow.
It was just a different time. But I don't know how much those two will be around it. I think Nigel will be around it quite a lot, Nigel Benn. But that's why, kind of whatever age anybody is, if they've got an interest in sport, they will know about this.
Yeah.
And they'll probably have picked a team, and that's what makes a big fight, isn't it?
It is, Andy. And I want to take a different angle and say, I respect both fighters a lot in terms of their parents fought each other, their dads fought each other. And what an amazing story that they both gave birth to sons that have gotten to this level, to have the abilities that they have to fight each other. And the reason why I say I respect both of them, the sons fighting, is because boxing is a hard sport. Not saying that they had another way out or they could have done anything else, but to be able to get to this level, to compete at this level, when maybe there may have been other options in life, I have to rate them. Yeah, I have to respect that a lot. And it's a big fight, entertaining fight, and again, it's an amazing story that both parents that fought each other, and somehow life has worked out in a way where both sons get to meet each other. So yeah, it's a crazy story.
No, I'm with you on that, because I do look at that angle of it and just think you didn't need to do this. Yeah. You could have chosen to do other things. And I've always been really aware of the fact that one of the reasons I'm able to love this sport as much as I do is because I don't actually have to do it.
You said that the other day, I was laughing. That's a very fair statement. Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. So the fact that they've chosen to do it, I suppose it's just in them, isn't it? I guess.
Yeah. Nah, I rate that a lot. And I'm sure they might have other siblings as well, or whatever it is, but these two have risen to the occasion. So hats off to them. Yeah.
What about the actual fight then? Because Ben's coming up in weight. He hasn't been all that active over the last couple of years. We all know why. Eubank's weight has been 160 or 168. We feel like maybe 160 is quite difficult for him now. But if you're just going to look at it in purely rational terms, the weight must give him the advantage, doesn't it? Or doesn't it?
Yeah. Well, I don't know if there's a clause on the rehydration or all of that stuff, but yeah, they are weights apart. not by like a mad crazy amount, but you're right, they are weights apart. But look, I'm not too much into what they've signed up for contractually in terms of the weight, but it's a fight that's happening, and it's a fight that's captivated everyone. And like I said, I do boxing myself. You're in the industry yourself, but it's a fight that we want to see. I don't. When was the first fight with their dads?
1990.
Okay, 1990.
Yeah.
So I wasn't born. Do you know what I mean? That's crazy. Yeah. So I was gonna say I wasn't in England, but I actually wasn't born as a whole. So it's just a historic event, and I think it will live up to the expectations.
What do you think will happen in terms of the fight?
Boy,
If I had to, if you had to pick a winner.
There's many reasons why I think Eubank Jr will come out on top, but undeniably, let's not deny the what's the word I want to use, the will of Conor Benn, that makes him a dangerous fighter all the time. And who knows? He says he gets big, out of camp, so maybe the weight might not be as effective as we think. But then Eubank is, the bigger man. It's a much more comfortable weight category for him. And as you know, Andy, from your stance and your lens as well, it's about who shows up on the night. Anything can happen in the ring. So it's quite a hard pick for me in terms of who do I think is going to win. But I think the advantages are definitely in Eubank's favour. Yeah, by far. And another thing I have to say as well, just from watching Eubank Sr, there's a lot of things that I see in Senior that I see in Junior as an outsider watching the sport. And that's why when I say I got to give credit to them, I do give him credit because he's tough. Do you know what I mean? And let me bring this up, Andy. Let me bring this up about Eubank Jr. No one gives him credit for how nonchalant he was when he lost to Liam Smith. He said it was a punch from the gods. We were like, no, it wasn't. You got starfished. But guess what? In a rematch, he had the same energy. He had and the same approach for the first fight. He had that nonchalantness, that approach that I'm going to beat you regardless. Even though he had been knocked out a few months before, he came to Manchester, was booed by 1 million people. I was there, and he came out and he won. So it's not spoken about so much. Like, the credit isn't given enough to him, how he bounced back from that upset, came in a rematch and beat the guy, stopped him. It's not enough credit there. And for Conor Benn as well, fights like his dad. So you can't say much there. Do you know what I mean? The will is there. The willpower is in there. So when I say we got to give these two fighters credit, we genuinely do, because it's a tough sport. And they've been in tough fights. They've come out on top. And now they're creating this big fight in April.
Yeah, I completely agree with that, because people talked about Liam Smith was out of shape the second fight. He had to lose a lot of weight too quickly. But to go straight back in with somebody who's knocked you out, and it's the first time anyone's done that to you, that can finish some people. Sometimes they're never the same again.
Yeah.
And I was watching that really closely, thinking his world could collapse around him now because of the persona he's got and the way he conducts himself, and it didn't.
No. Have to give him credit.
Yeah, that just shows a lot of mental strength. Another fight that we're going to get, we think, later in the year, assuming that Canelo beats William Skull to reassemble all 4 major sanctioning body belts and become undisputed again, is Canelo against Terence Crawford. Another fight where somebody's coming up in weight. Crawford, now a super welterweight, going up to super middleweight. My kind of first impressions of this were that I didn't really want to see it. This is a few months ago, because I just thought, we're just going to see a supersonic fighter lose because he's moving too far up in weight. And I'm never a fan of that. But the more I've thought about it, the more I think, I don't know, actually. Crawford could be that guy.
Yeah.
Because he's quite big when you see him in person, and he's going to be around this weekend. He's bigger than you think. Yeah. What are your feelings on that one?
I think initially, I was like, guys, there's weight categories for a reason. And he's moving up a lot of weight categories to fight. A pound for pound, as they say. But as time has gone on, I'm like, you know what? I do want to see this fight. Do you know what I mean? The seed has been planted there, and as the months and time has gone on, I'm like, yeah, I hope we get to see it. I still have the opinion that, look, there are weight categories for a reason, but it's been done before. And if there's anyone to do it, if there's anyone to pick, that you'd have to say Crawford. Yeah, so the seed's been planted, so I do want to see it. Yeah.
Because you just don't get the feeling that Crawford is somebody who is going to buckle. It could just be, like you say, that Canelo is too big for him, and he can't really, and it'll be difficult for him to keep him off. But it's so often the battle of wills, isn't it? Whose will is going to break, and I don't feel like Crawford's will can be broken.
Yeah. Boy, like I said, Andy, the same thing. I think there are weight categories for a reason, yeah. But I think it's something that we'd love to see. We've seen Crawford take out so many different opponents, so many different styles, so many previous world champions, but it was within that weight category. And I guess this is a dare to be great. So let's see.
And just quickly, before I let you go, back to Spurs, Lyndon Arthur against Anthony Yarde, your weight division. Obviously, you'll have a vested interest in that. You'll be keeping a keen eye on that. A trilogy fight. It's 1-1 between the two of them. It's a good fight for both of them.
Yeah, I think so. And it's on a very big platform, big stadium. I think it's co-main event at the moment, so that's quite good. It's 1-1. Arthur won the first one on points, and I think Yarde stopped him in the fourth round in the second one, something like that. So, Arthur's got to be coming to say, look, the second fight, whatever happened, and then Yarde's got to say, I stopped you in 4. I'm probably going to do it again. So it is an interesting fight. Who do you fancy on that one?
I think given what happened in the second fight, I would fancy Yarde.
Okay.
He didn't produce a stellar performance when we saw him late last year, but you can't be brilliant every time, can you?
No.
And there can often be reasons, but I probably would favour him. I mean, your name and his name are they're never too far away from each other, are they?
No.
And that won't change until you fight.
Yeah, so I'm hoping at some point, and hopefully this year, we can get on. It's been said many, many times this year, but the way things are looking, I'm hoping at some point this year can happen.
Okay, we'll leave it there. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.